All right, everybody. Good to be with you. And thank you for joining me for another episode in our long-running series, the Fliplogic Real Estate Show. I'm going to be your host, Ryan Kirk, and this is a 1-hour Q&A format with some deal analysis and screen share where I take your questions in the order that they're received, and you can get them in. You can enter them in the Q&A panel there in the navigation or control panel bar here for Zoom. And for those of you that are on YouTube, you can put them there in the chat, and I'll get to them in the order that they're received. So whether you've got questions or if it's just a straight question or if it's more deal analysis on something, we'll do either or, and we'll run for an hour or until all questions are exhausted. So with that being said, I'll tell you guys a little bit about what I've got going on and what I'm up to, and I'll give you guys a chance to enter your questions in the Q&A box there. So one, and I know I may be repeating myself a little bit here from last week, but we actually had one member who, I don't know if he's on here tonight, but Maurice, if you're on here tonight, give us a little what's up in the chat box there or the Q&A box. But Maurice just did his first deal. It was a no money down deal in Dalzell, South Carolina, where the seller was an out-of-state absentee owner. They actually had just moved to North Dakota, or maybe they had been there for a bit, but they're definitely residing in North Dakota now. So they are a true out-of-state absentee owner, and they wanted to get this property sold, and they owed about $75,000 on it. So Maurice did a very smart thing and asked them if they would be interested in selling it for what they owe on it, to get the deal done. And they said that they would. And so it made that deal a very attractive deal, since it's probably closer to like a 100,000 ARV. So really not much room to wholesale a fixer like that at 75,000. It's only a 25% discount. So we did put it under contract, and with no money down, we were able to put it up for rent to own and get somebody. And it actually it was supposed to close on Friday, but due to delays with the actual real estate attorney in South Carolina, they couldn't close it last week. They've just been, I don't know what they've been doing, to be honest. I think they're just a very small town, and they're a real estate attorney, and they're just not very quick. So, but it will be closing this week. The money's already in there, and Maurice will net, a few thousand at closing from their $6,500 deposit that they put down. So after closing costs, his half, since he wanted a deal partner, will be about a little over $2,000 at closing, and then he'll make some positive cash flow every month, a little over $100, because the rent is at $775, and our PITI every month is It's $497 plus insurance. So just call it $575. So about a $200 month cash flow, split 50-50. Nothing to get excited about, but then once they exercise the option to cash us out, there's about we sold it at $115,000 as is, so we'll get about $108,500 minus, because that's from the down payment, $6,500. So it leaves them $108,500 balance minus $75,000. So it's about $33,000. So that'll leave us with about $17,000 each when we get cashed out. So all we got to do is sit and wait and just keep collecting that monthly payment now. So that's nice. So that's a fun little deal. So with that being said, as you guys know, I've got a mobile home park renovation that I'm getting towards the tail end of. We should be full. It's funny how that goes. You know, you always hope you set, it's good to set goals and timelines, but then, you know, you have to be flexible. So we've definitely exceeded that. I was hoping to be full at the end of February, kind of mid-March, but we still have we're getting there. The units, as soon as they're ready, they fill. So we're constantly having new people come in. And just so you guys know, if you're wondering, you know, where's the best place to get tenants or tenant buyers, like in Maurice's case, it's by listing the property for rent on Zillow. You get a lot of qualified tenants that way. And if you're going to do rent to own, if you put it up for rent, they're in the position to be able to rent. So they look at it, and then when they read that they have the ability to do the rent to own, they just have to put down a larger down payment. Then now it's a great place to generate those types of leads and get that kind of traffic going. So anyways, once I finish that up, I think I may have mentioned last week that you know, I'm going to be buying the adjacent park next to mine, so that'll be another 80 units. So I'm excited for that. I definitely love quick turning single families, and then rolling money, that money that you make, you know, after you pay your bills and you're able to get momentum and start doing multiple deals a month, but then start rolling that money into, you know, rental income properties. And mobile homes are probably one of the most underrated, because I think conventional wisdom tells you that, you know, you need to own the nice property, the nice looking property, you know, the A properties or B properties. But mobile home parks, they're the redhead stepchild. I guess I can say that because I have red hair, not a stepchild, but I sure felt like one every now and then growing up. Just kidding. Love you, mom and dad. But they are the most underrated, I think. And that's just because, you know, they can be rough looking from the outside, but as the famous saying goes, you know, never judge a book by its cover. And it couldn't be more true than with mobile homes and mobile home parks, because if you're buying a mobile home with the land for about call it $13,000 to $15,000 for the lot, and they're the easiest things in the world if you ever have to fix them or replumb them or rehab them, because the materials are cheap. And if you're if you're buying them in areas where, you know, labor and materials is cheap, your labor is going to be cheap as well. So mobile homes, if you're buying them for, say, call it 15,000 a lot with a mobile home, and you're able to get $500 a month in rent, then, you know, that's obviously a pretty good way to go. You're talking $500 a month times 12 months, that's $6,000 a year. If you paid, let's just say your net income from that, let's call it 60%. That's 3,600. Divide that in, you know, that's a 24%. That's a 24% annual return. So that's why mobile homes and why mobile home parks, because your ROI it's huge. It's huge. And when you're talking about doing a park and the economies of scale are working for you, then once you increase the rent and you do your cash out refi and you pull all the cash out that you had put into it, and now you're still collecting, you know, a 10, 12, 14% cap rate. Well, what's your return at that point when the initial money you put in, you already took back out in the form of cash out refi? Is infinite. You're making an infinite return, and then you've got accelerated depreciation from depreciating the park, which is basically a fictional loss right? You're not really losing any money. You're just getting to write it off. You get to depreciate it over a 15-year amortization schedule, as opposed to single family homes and apartments, which are in the same class. You have to depreciate those over 27 and a half years, which is almost 30 years if you round up. So 15-year depreciation schedule, you're getting basically 2x the depreciation schedule. So if you had a $30,000 a year write-off on a house or an apartment building, if it was a mobile home park, you're getting a $60,000 a year write-off. Which, if you were netting $60,000 a year also from your park, guess what? That $60,000 you just net is completely tax-free because you had a $60,000 depreciation on your return, which offsets that $60,000 or $60,000, $60,000 in income. It's a complete offset, but again, it's a fictional offset. You didn't lose anything. So that's the beauty of mobile home parks. You can see why they are such a cash cow. So again, the whole point, to kind of summarize that or recap it, love to flip for fast cash, and then start having a long-term game plan of what you want to do with that cash, which is, you can continue to roll it into marketing, obviously, and continue to do single family deals. But then also, when you are going to start picking up rentals, or you're going to start looking into mobile homes, or even small parks to start with, because sellers will finance with just a little bit down, a little bit that obviously that's general. It can vary, but you may be able to buy parks. You can definitely buy them with financing for 20 to 25% down. And with seller financing, you may be able to do better. And also, it's easier to qualify if you're getting seller financing. So food for thought for long-term game plan. If you want to look for a good place to start rolling your wholesale, or if you're rehabbing or wholesaling, but start rolling that money into rental income. So I hope that helps. I'm going to check the Q&A board here to see what we've got. So hold on one second, and I'm going to pull up a screen share here. So I've got nothing in my Q&A chat box. Let's see if you guys have shot me any other chats. So I don't have any other questions from you guys here at the moment. And what about YouTube? Do we got anything going on YouTube? So no questions from anybody yet. So that's about all I wanted to share to get going. So if you guys have any questions, please get them in, so we've got something to, dive into and look at. Other than that, like I said, if we don't have any questions, then, we'll wrap up the show, from there. All right. Well, I think that's it. So if that wraps it up for everybody, if nobody else has any questions, I'll give it a few more minutes here and then we'll wrap. But I at least wanted to kind of just let you guys know what, some of the things that I had going on from what I'm working on, and share those insights with you guys. So Mary asks, how about pre-foreclosures? Please tell me who you give offers to. So with pre-foreclosures, what I love about pre-foreclosures is pre-foreclosures, you're dealing with the homeowner. So you're going to be dealing with the actual seller. You're not dealing with the bank because it's not a short sale. So you're actually, it's still considered a standard sale. which means less red tape, which means the ability to, close your deals, quickly. There's nothing short about a short sale. It can be one of the longest transactions and negotiations in the business, because you're dependent on a lender to approve the offer and then send over a short sale approval letter, and they got to do a financialoscopy on the seller before they'll do that. So stay away from short sales. And in this current market today, I think we're having an uptick in foreclosures. I haven't checked the statistic as of this last couple of weeks, but I'm still bearish on REOs and foreclosures, just because unless the supply picks up and the banks become motivated, then there's no point in trying to negotiate with them, because they're professional and you're dealing with a professional negotiator on the other side. You're dealing with a loss mitigator at the bank or at the lending office, and they do not like to deviate very far below their asking price. They really don't. They want to try to get as much as they can, and they're willing to wait until they're in a position where they can't. So that's not today, or at least in the Southern California market, which I know is where Mary's at. So pre-foreclosures are awesome. That means there's been they're 90 days late, at least. At 90 days, the bank files that notice of default, and that's what's considered pre-foreclosure. Is this homeowner's missed a couple payments. And so from there, you can contact them directly. You can either call them, and if you want to call them, you can skip trace and call them. If you need to find out who the owner is, I'm guessing you know who they are, because you've got their address. If you don't, you can look it up on the county website by property address or APN to see if they say who the owner of record is, and then you can just do a white pages search. If you can't find their name on the county, on the county website, you can always pull a property profile. A service I like to use is TiCoreOnlinePro.com. I've got free access there. You can get free access. It's just TiCore is a title company. If you call their customer service, you can hook up with them and get a free login and password. And obviously, they're doing that in exchange for earning your title orders. So Lawyers Title is really great. You could do that with them, or TiCore Title. They both have good fees, and they've got a property profile access. So Mary says, I'm sure you need to offer more than they owe. Yes, you need to offer more than they owe if you want to avoid a short sale situation. So just because they're in pre-foreclosure doesn't mean there's no equity in the deal, right? There's plenty of deals out there where they've got equity in the property, and they've just something's happened. They've had some sort of interrupt, and they haven't been able to make the payment, but they will be extremely motivated. And so from there, it's just a matter of, making contact by either sending them a letter or making a phone call. I think those are the two best ways to get in touch with them. And then from there, once you do get in touch, you build some rapport, find out what the condition of the property is, and then when they would like to move out and close, right? And what the best price is that they can do, what their asking price is, what their bottom number is. Then from there, you can do your desktop underwriting, and then present them an offer over the phone verbally, come to an agreement. And then once you come to an agreement, you can formalize it by putting it in writing and sending it over in a written offer form. Typically by email is best. That's typically how everybody does it these days. So I hope that helps. But yeah, pre-foreclosures is one of the most motivated seller lead types that you're going to be able to find, right? The last thing people want to do is miss a mortgage payment. So once they've done that, you know that that they're pretty motivated. That's the last. That's the first thing that people pay. It's the last thing that they want to miss paying. So, so I hope that helps with pre-foreclosures. Great lead type though. So definitely feel free to, pursue those as your most motivated seller lead type anyway. So I hope that helps. If you guys have any other questions, let me know here, and I'll give you guys a chance to throw any others in the queue. Oops, let me see here. I wanted to check one more thing. Okay. And then I know Mary, she's got a deal going in Palm Desert, and I think that offer is actually being resubmitted this evening. And I know James is helping out with that because the seller asked for it to be on the state approved form as opposed to the our own custom purchase and sale agreement form that you can generate right out of here. I'll pull it up here actually real quick since she's was asking some questions here. Whitestone. So, and there's nothing wrong with the purchase and sale agreement that's generated out of here. There's actually some pretty big funds, hedge funds that I work with that they buy and sell and rehab in volume, and they like to use their own custom agreement as well. And so, but sometimes sellers, if they are familiar with the state approved form and they see something that's different than that, then yeah, sometimes they may ask, hey, why is it on this form? Why isn't it on the state approved realtor form? And so the honest answer to that is just that's a custom form that we like to use because we can use it anywhere. And, the other state approved form is really for realtors and, can only be used in California. So we like to use our form. So that's usually asked and answered, and that's fine. If they want us to put it on or want you to put it on the state approved realtor form, you could always just Google that online. You could, whatever it is, Georgia purchase and sale agreement, California purchase and sale agreement. And then you could always fill it out on there as well. So some will ask, some won't. So I don't have a problem with it. It's a copyrighted form. And if you're going to put it on there, you have to go download it yourself online. And then you have to do it for the state that you're writing it up in. So that's just a few extra steps. And we like to just universally automate it on the form that we use. And what's nice about the purchase agreement that we use, and it's actually the same terms as the California agreement, but you actually, I wonder if I've got it here in front of me. Let me see here. Yeah, I know I do right here. So the purchase agreement right here that generates out of Fliplogic Let me pull down to the purchase and sale agreement, and I'll tell you guys why this is so important to know and why it should give you all the warm and fuzzies when you're talking about risk, and if you're wiring a deposit in. This agreement protects you right here under contingencies, right? So under contingencies, section B, the contingency removal date shall be, you don't want this for 0 days. This was a different deal. We were already ready to go, but this should typically be, you want at least 7 days. And I would say you want 7 to 21 days. If it's a fast market and you got a good buyer's list, or a partner who's got a good buyer's list in that market, and it's a fast market, you could do it with, like, say, a 7-day inspection and a 14-day close. It's going to be a slower market, or you don't have as strong of a buyer's list, and you're obviously going to want more time, maybe something like a 14-day inspection and a 30-day close. And obviously the closing date, you really want to know what the seller wants to do. You want to try to accommodate, having them pick their move out date or close on the date of their choice. So you always want to reverse engineer it from what they want. But here's the magic in this clause. So the contingency removal date shall be, let's just say it was 7 days from acceptance. And by that date, buyer must indicate an intent to proceed or cancel, or to only proceed if certain repairs or credits are made. So if you needed to ask them to do, do a price reduction or fix certain things, that's more retail. You're never going to be asking a seller to do that. You will be asking them to do price reductions every now and then, right? And then are made by delivering to seller one of 3 forms described on the standard terms attachment to form, so which is below. But anyways, that's important. And let me go to, so this is a attachment forms. Let me see, buyer's investigation. Let me see, I just wanted to pull up. Here we go. Further details regarding removal of contingencies and cancellation rights. So this is, stick with me. You guys are going to love this, and this is going to be, you're going to feel very smart for having this in here. So on the contingency removal date, if buyer elects to proceed, buyer must submit a contingency removal form, removing all the contingencies described in section 2B of the agreement, which we looked at above before, and making the deposit forfeitable if buyer breaches this agreement. So what does that mean? In other words, this means that just because you go over the 7 days does not mean your deposit automatically becomes non-refundable. Every agreement is different. I've seen a lot of other states where that's just boilerplated in, where it goes based on once you pass that your inspection period number of days, you're automatically giving up your right to that deposit, right? You're declaring that it's non-refundable, and you're forfeiting it. The beauty of this agreement, and it's very similar to California's agreement, that's how I learned the trick, is that even after you go over the number of inspection days, your deposit is still 100% refundable. The only way it becomes non-refundable is if you actually remove it and declare it with a contingency removal form in writing, saying that you're removing all contingencies, which means your deposit is now completely non-refundable if you were to back out or cancel. Obviously, you would never do that. The only time you ever do a contingency removal is because, 1, you have a committed buyer. 2, by a signed agreement, they've either signed another purchase and sale agreement, or they've signed an assignment agreement. So then that way you know that you've got a deal done, and they're wiring their deposit in either to a second escrow or into your escrow, and escrow's releasing your deposit back to you. So then that way you're never at risk. Your deposit's never at risk. So I hope that helps, because I love that little clause. And this right here solidifies it further, which is C, where it says, even after the end of the contingency times specified in this agreement, buyer retains the right to either in writing remove remaining contingencies, or to cancel this agreement based on a remaining contingency. So there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And that's why our agreement is so great. So it really makes it very clear that you can't mix up the number of contingency days. If in order for your deposit to go non-refundable, you have to remove it in writing. William says, I do not see the doc you're speaking of. Oh, maybe I'm, let's see here. There you go. So you guys could probably see it now. So this is, so what I was illustrating here is just the purchase and sale agreement that's generated out of Fliplogic for your lead. So once you generate that, then you can see here for your contingency removal days, that's 3B here. That 3D, you can set your number of contingency removal days. Let's see, and then down here in the attachment to offer, it just further, I'll show you right here, let me see, right here in section 7, it further describes it here. So, and then that's what I was illustrating, is even after the end of the contingency time period, that's still refundable until you remove it in writing. So, all right. So with that being said, does anybody else have any other questions that they would like to get in? I've checked the Q&A box, so we're good there. So that's what I've got for you guys at the moment. I'll give it another minute here before wrapping up. So if you guys have any other questions, please get them in. Let's see here. All right. Well, I think that's going to be a wrap here this evening. So I'll just check one more. So I think that's it. So thanks everybody for joining me, and until next week, if you guys have any other questions between now and then, you could you could always email them over, but I'm pretty limited as far as answering questions throughout the week, unless there's a deal that you've got going that we're deal partnering on. So until then, I'll see you guys same time, same place here next week. All right. Take care and good night.